From the Cronkite studios in downtown Phoenix, this is Cronkite News.
Obviously, it's not good news, and so it'll have to be a factor.
Lawmakers continue to voice out their opinions on the health care bill, how the plan could affect the country's economy.
And reactions are not just coming from D.C. How healthcare groups are also making their voices heard here in the Valley.
Plus, dust storms on Arizona freeways can be deadly, how ADOT is speeding up plans for the safety of drivers.
Cronkite News starts now.
Good evening and welcome to Cronkite News on Arizona PBS. I'm Patricio Espinosa.
And I'm Emily Bloom. Thank you for joining us. The fate of the Senate Republican health care bill is unclear, with Senate GOP leaders delaying the vote until after the 4th of July recess. Senators are hoping to gain more support, as 6 members have already said they oppose the bill, and this includes Senator John McCain.
My state is a Medicare expansion state, and so we have a lot of issues.
The CBO report estimates that by 2026, the Senate bill would reduce the national deficit by $321 billion, slashing Medicaid funding. But many legislators fear the bill would do more harm than good. Press Secretary Sean Spicer says the president is working for a strong health care reform.
He had several calls over the weekend hearing ideas and opinions about how to strengthen it, and he'll continue to support ways to make the bill stronger.
Many of these concerns come following the nonpartisan Congressional Budget Office analysis of the bill, which says 22 million Americans will be uninsured by 2026.
And 60 patients with their own personal health care stories came together at the Capitol to urge members of Congress to not cut care access, and coverage for millions of Americans. We go to Cronkite News Washington Bureau reporter Alex Valdez, who has the story of one of those survivors from Arizona.
The gathering at the Capitol today involved over a dozen patients, public interest groups, and 60 citizen lobbyists, all with their own story to tell. But the one message they had to deliver to lawmakers was to protect health care now. Vanessa Ramirez, an ovarian cancer survivor, came to the Capitol today to urge Arizona Senators John McCain and Jeff Flake to vote no on the Senate version of the Republican health care bill.
What I came today for was to speak with the senator to explain that if he voted for this bill, his constituents could potentially die.
Ramirez, a Tempe resident and mother of 2, has been cancer-free for the past 12 years, but she worries that her pre-existing condition could make it harder to get the health coverage she needs.
Even though all my scans and everything have come back clear for the past 12 years, I still need to have access to my doctors. Protections in the current law have allowed Ramirez and her family to afford health care, even with her pre-existing condition. Ramirez said she's ready for the tough fight ahead. Represent my community, my state, and to show him that, there's families out there that need him to be the senator and to vote against this. The Senate Republicans' new health care bill calls for substantial changes to how Medicaid is funded, which could leave millions of low-income Americans without insurance. Cuts to Medicaid can hit cancer patients particularly hard, said Dick Woodruff of the American Cancer Society.
It does make really, really deep cuts in Medicaid, which serves 1.5 million cancer patients.
Ramirez is urging Arizonans to volunteer their time and meet with their senators or representatives, and to help them realize that the healthcare debate is about people.
When I left the office, I said, at the end of the day, I want Senator McCain to vote for a health insurance bill that he wouldn't be afraid of carrying himself.
Vanessa Ramirez was not able to meet with Senator McCain or Flake personally, but she said the meetings with their staffers went very well. Now she hopes the 2 Arizona senators vote correctly. Reporting in Washington, I'm Alex Valdez, Cronkite News.
Here in the Valley, several healthcare groups, including AARP and Planned Parenthood, joined forces at a news conference earlier today. They expressed concern about the impact the healthcare plan could have.
During the 2016 election, Donald Trump sat in a press conference at one point, put his finger like a gun, and said that he could go out in the middle of Fifth Avenue, shoot someone and not lose any support. Now he's in the White House, and he's got a gun in the form of this bill, and he's aiming it at 22 million Americans, and we've got to stop him before him and the Senate pull the trigger on that horrible bill.
According to Chicanos por la Causa Vice President Pedro Cons, programs such as Planned Parenthood would be defunded, which will impact more than 13 million women across the country.
And a state-by-state report on safety gives Arizona an F in most categories. Cronkite News Washington reporter Emma Lockhart tells us why our state received a failing grade.
But in every state of the nation, people are dying from things that we can prevent, and we call them accidents.
The National Safety Council put out a new report on state safety at a press conference today. The results show that Arizona is not doing enough to protect residents. The state received an F grade overall and was one of the bottom 5 states for road safety.
Arizona received an F on the road safety section, largely because they're not doing a great job protecting child passengers. And so this is for children under 2, making sure that kids are in booster seats. And when it comes to teen drivers, they can do more.
Distracted driving is also a leading factor in roadway accidents, a point brought home by Thomas Geltz from Minnesota, who spoke about his daughter, Megan.
Megan Geltz was killed by a distracted driver. She was pregnant at the time, and my unborn grandson also passed away.
Distracted driving is just one of the factors contributing to a 14% increase in roadway deaths since 2013, according to the report. Among other categories, Arizona also fell short for home and community safety, incidents such as gun accidents and drug-related deaths. Hersman says in order for the state to progress, it must take note.
So I'd say the opportunity for Arizona is to learn from its neighbors and learn from other states across the nation.
Through education and stricter regulation in all the safety categories, Hersman hopes these preventable deaths can be avoided. In Washington, Emma Lockhart, Cronkite News.
And for more information on how Arizona was ranked, visit nsc.org/state of safety or a state-by-state breakdown.
Safety on the road is a big concern in Arizona. Every year, roads are shut down in the state as dust storms roll through, cutting visibility. Cronkite News reporter Tyler Finger is in our broadcast center with how the Arizona Department of Transportation is hoping to revolutionize dust detection. Tyler?
Emily, it's been an ongoing project for ADOT as they try to figure out the best way to handle dust storms. But by 2019, a detection system will be in place on a part of I-10 between Phoenix and Tucson that should give ADOT and the Department of Public Safety the early warning they need to save lives.
We were traveling through the dust area.
Even for an experienced DPS trooper, this can be dangerous.
I'm down to about 15 miles an hour. I can barely see.
In an instant, visibility can drop to 0. A dust storm is to blame for a crash along the Arizona-New Mexico border earlier this month, a 25-car pileup that killed 6.
Dust storms happen quickly without very much warning. Sometimes we can anticipate them, but a lot of the times we can't.
That's a problem ADOT has been trying to fix. By the end of the year, installation on a first-of-its-kind dust detection system will start.
It's a very coordinated system that we'll be using along with DPS and with the National Weather Service so that we can get information to drivers so that they can make the right decisions and be safe on the roadway.
Here's how it works. A combination of cameras and sensors will monitor the road and the desert on either side of it. If something is spotted, overhead monitors will warn drivers, and speed limits will be lowered in the area. At that point, ADOT's Traffic Operations Center in Phoenix will be monitoring the situation.
The operators that you see behind me will be notified right away. They can then look at our cameras in that area, see what the situation is, and if they need to make adjustments, they can do that.
While it's still a few years away from going into operation, DPS is hopeful the technology will help.
ADOT will be able to receive information from their sensors they'll be able to send us that information right away, and we will be able to deploy a trooper right away. And so the quicker we can get there, obviously, the better it is.
As of now, the system will be installed over the next 2 years on a 10-mile stretch of I-10 between the Eloy area and Picacho Peak. If it goes well, it could be expanded to other problem areas in the state. In the broadcast center, Tyler Finger, Cronkite News.
And the battle to bring back an ethnic studies program in the Tucson School District continues. Yesterday in court, a group of independent teachers and students from the Tucson Unified School District said the county's 20-10 decision on ethnic studies was discriminatory. The law banned ethnic studies that are structured for a specific ethnic group and promote government overthrow.
The Navajo Nation Council approved legislation that will allow a coal-fired plant to operate through the end of 2019. Yesterday's vote kept almost 1,000 jobs from being immediately lost, but only if the Navajo generating station agrees to all the new lease terms. The owner says they are planning to close because cheaper power is readily available. Cranking up the AC isn't an option for everyone this summer.
Last week, we took a look at how a Phoenix resident battled the heat inside her own house.
And I keep it wet to keep me cool.
And coming up on Cronkite News, we'll tell you about a visit that will change how the senior now fights the heat.
Dedicated Arizona hikers don't let the heat get in the way of their workout, but why firefighters say you're not only putting yourself in danger.
I think I finally found my hallelujah. I've been waiting for this moment all my life now. All my dreams are coming true, yeah. I've been waiting for this moment. It's good to be alive right about now. About now.
Officially from 36, and he hooks it in. Arizona State wins. Keeping one deep, and it is caught. Jalen Strong. Do you believe it?
It's day 2 of former Sheriff Joe Arpaio's trial that focuses on his traffic patrols targeting Phoenix area immigrants. Prosecutors presented a news release of Arpaio bragging about his tough immigration enforcement. Arpaio faces a misdemeanor contempt of court charge for disregarding a judge's order to seize the traffic stops. Arpaio's lawyer says with his many years in law enforcement, Arpaio wouldn't consider violating a court order. He blames a former attorney for giving the ousted sheriff bad advice.
The Arizona Supreme Court is set to hear a case about a same-sex spouse who was given parental rights over her ex-wife's biological child. Susan and Kimberly McLaughlin entered a joint parenting agreement when Kimberly decided to have a child via sperm donor. The Court of Appeals ruled that when they divorced, Susan was entitled to the same parental rights as if she were a man. Kimberly is appealing today, arguing that Susan is not a parent as defined by state law.
Today will be the 11th day in a row with temperatures above 110 degrees. And while you or I may complain about walking to our cars, there is a crew out there who are often working in the heat in much worse conditions.
Make sure we hydrate it before we get to shift, drink water through the shift.
While keeping hydrated might seem obvious, it's not always possible for this group. Prior to becoming captain at Station 30, Buddy DeCosmo worked at Station 12, which serves our Valley Mountains.
Not very uncommon to have 2 or 3 rescues in one day where we're hiking either Camelback Mountain, Squaw Peak.
And in the summer months, they could have multiple trucks on these calls.
So you'll have anywhere from 12 to 20 guys trying to rescue one person.
A reminder that when we take chances in the heat,
there's been multiple times that, people firefighters got injured making a mountain rescue.
We are putting others at risk also.
Your adrenaline starts to get pumping.
At up to 70 pounds, these turnouts are built to keep the heat out, but as a result, their bodies aren't able to cool down.
Get to the fire, and then it becomes a lot of physical work. We're pulling hoses, forcing entry, so we're working pretty hard. Then you're inside where the temperatures could be up to 1,200 degrees, and we're fighting fire, and yeah, it's pretty taxing on you.
To help handle these conditions, they have a rehabilitation truck that runs through the summer months.
They're dispatched out on any house fire, some of the mountain rescues. Basically, they're stocked with everything we need to hydrate with, water, Gatorade. They have cooling fans. To rehydrate and cool firefighters while in between rotations. But fires and mountain rescues aren't the only challenges these firefighters face. Somebody on the street, might have underestimated the temperatures, trying to walk from the house to the grocery store. They're not drinking any water. Next thing you know, they're dizzy. Just be safe out there. We love to serve the public, but try to take care of yourself so you don't have to see us. While at the mountain this morning, I actually ran into a couple of firefighters who are there training on their day off. It's a commitment for the men and women in this profession, especially at this time of year. With the high temperatures in the valley, air conditioning has become a necessity.
And a Valley woman faces the struggle of a broken AC and not enough money for repairs. Coming up on Cronkite News, how a company and a viewer step up to help her cool down.
And we are headed for a very modest cool down. Your full 7-day forecast coming up.
Heaven knows you're a dreamer. Don't hide it from anyone. Don't hide it from anyone. Hey, would you believe me if I said we are here for a reason now? This is our life. This is what counts. This is for us. I will go anywhere for you.
Olomire is now under evacuation order since the Goodwin fire jumped Highway 69. It's burned about 4,400 acres just south of Prescott and is only 5% contained. Down south, the Saddle Fire in Cochise County has grown to almost 5,000 acres, and in Pima County, the Maynard Fire has burned 450 acres since Sunday. And crews across southern states are also fighting fires and evacuating residents currently. A fire in South Utah is the largest wildfire in the country. And although this week is expected to cool down just a bit, temperatures are still reaching the triple digits. Emily has our full forecast so you can plan ahead and stay cool.
We are currently sitting at 108 here in the valley. Sunny skies and breezy conditions. Those winds in some areas of Phoenix are kicking up to 25 miles an hour. Taking a look across our state, we have got 88 at the Grand Canyon, 109 in Lake Havasu, 106 down in Tucson, and 86 in Show Low. Across the valley, we are seeing 109 in Goodyear, 107 in Buckeye, 100 in Superior, and 106 in Florence. Now, our high today of 111 degrees, still well above that average of 106, but fortunately still below the record of 118. And taking a look at our satellite radar, This area of high pressure that has been keeping us warm is going to continue to move into the north of Mexico. As that happens, our temperatures will come down just a little bit for the coming days. What that means for your week ahead, by Wednesday, we will drop below that 110 mark. It will stay that way until Friday. Saturday will bounce back up just a couple of degrees, and by next week, we will be above average temperatures once again. For Cronkite Weather, I'm Emily Bloom.
And last week we introduced you to Socorro Carvajal, a 76-year-old woman on a fixed income. Her central air conditioning broke down right as temperatures reached almost 120 degrees. She was hoping for help from a local nonprofit group, but today a viewer who watched the story stepped up to help.
That's just the end of the life of the compressor.
So it has to have a new compressor?
Yeah.
And that is how we last left Socorro Carvajal, in need of a new compressor and an estimate of more than $2,000 for air conditioning repairs. But today, things changed. Hi, is this Dave?
I told the gentleman that's standing there next to you that I will pay $1,000 toward fixing your air conditioner.
Oh, thank you.
Well, you're welcome. I'm glad that I'm able to help you, and I hope they get your air conditioner going today and that you're going to be comfortable.
I hope so. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
My dearest thank yous.
Miss Socorro, how does that make you feel?
I feel like crying, but I'm holding it there.
You just enjoy your day, and I'm very grateful that I'm able to help you.
But there is more. The owner of the company making the repairs also wanted to help.
So all the work today will be pro bono at no charge to you.
Oh my God.
Gentlemen, explain to me.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome. You're welcome. Gentlemen, explain to me a little bit your situation today. We decided to step up and do the right thing.
And finally, what really mattered.
I didn't think they were going to do it this fast either.
Huh?
Oh my God, yes. It's really coming through.
How does that feel?
Oh, great. Oh, thank God.
And after a heavy discount from a local contractor and the help of our viewers, Socorro Carvajal had only $450 out of pocket, which will get her through the summer. And a football field is quite different from a business office, but some techniques work in both settings.
Coming up on Cronkite News, how this former Sun Devil athlete is making his touchdown in the corporate world.
Fascinating. You know, sometimes I wish I wasn't so beloved.
Can't you see? Little girl got a hold on me like wow. Baby, I'm howling for you.
It's literally one for the history books.
Enjoy.
What are you doing?
Possibilities. Your day is filled with them.
Reach up, energy in the fingertips, collapse.
TV, play Downton Abbey.
And PBS helps everyone discover theirs. Anytime, anywhere.
Up in the sky, you can see it.
PBS, we're with you for life.
A former ASU defensive end, Nick Baker, was recently named Senior Vice President of AEG Global Partnerships, a sports and entertainment company that controls over 100 of the world's largest venues. Victor Keys sat down with Nick to discuss his journey from Sun Devil student athlete to major business executive.
Nick Baker has moved up the ladder in the business world faster than he was able to get to quarterback while as a Sun Devil.
I was a backup at ASU and a walk-on, and so what I learned was that there are different aspects to what people do, and their position on a field or a position within an organization, all in an effort to make that team or that company better.
The collaborative lessons learned from football carried over seamlessly to the business side.
So I ended up at AEG through an internship prior to my senior year of college, and I've always been a huge fan of sports. It's been a big part of my upbringing.
Baker, only 34, has helped the company reach record sales revenue by leading efforts to negotiate naming rights agreements for venues around the world. For his accomplishments, Baker was honored by Sports Business Journal with the prestigious 40 Under 40 honor.
It's about aligning yourself with great people, and great assets and a great company. So I think, those are decisions that help, create a path into your future.
Among other contributions, he shepherded for AEG the first founding partnership agreement of T-Mobile Arena in Las Vegas.
We were fortunate enough to find many name brand, world-class brands across the world that partnered with that venue. And there's a long list of events that are taking place, including the new Mayweather and McGregor fight.
Baker is a multitasker, juggling numerous projects around the world for AEG, which has entertainment properties on 5 continents. In Los Angeles, Victor Keys, Cronkite News.
And Baker graduated from the W.P. Carey School of Business in 2005 with a degree in business administration.
Cronkite News is proud to be the news division of Arizona PBS. Here's what's coming up on Arizona Horizon and PBS NewsHour.
On the next Arizona Horizon, we continue our coverage of the Senate Republican health care plan and its impact on Arizona. And we'll hear from the coach and star player of ASU's championship women's golf team.
I'm Judy Woodruff on the next NewsHour, part 2 of my conversation with billionaire philanthropist Warren Buffett. That's Tuesday on the PBS NewsHour.
And that is for Cronkite News tonight. Thanks for joining us.
For top Arizona stories anytime, go to cronkitenews.az, pbs.org.